Elena Vasquez stood in the center of the massive council chamber. The room was bigger than any building on Earth. Floating platforms held different alien species, each one stranger than the last. Some looked like walking crystals that sparkled in the light. Others were just clouds of gas that somehow talked. A few had too many eyes, or tentacles instead of arms, or skin that changed colors. Elena was the first human to ever stand in this place. She wore her best uniform, the one with all the medals she earned during the resource wars back on Earth. But looking around at all these aliens, she felt very small and very alone. The High Chancellor sat on the highest platform. His name was Zixthala, and he came from a planet called Altair. His body was made of living crystal that caught the light from 1,000 different angles. When he moved, he made soft ringing sounds like wind chimes. "So," Zixthala said, his voice echoing through the chamber, "this is the representative from the New World. Earth. Was it?" Elena stepped forward. "Yes, Your Excellence. I am Ambassador Elena Vasquez, speaking for all humanity. We are honored to—" "Earth is classified as a Class 6 death world," interrupted a creature that looked like a floating jellyfish made of light. "The most dangerous category we have ever recorded." Murmurs spread through the chamber. Elena heard words like primitive and violent and dangerous in a dozen different alien languages. She understood them all, thanks to the translation device in her ear. "That is correct," Elena said, keeping her voice steady. "Earth is a challenging world, but that has made us strong and resourceful. We would like to offer our services to the Federation. Our people are excellent engineers, scientists, and—" Laughter filled the chamber. It was an ugly sound, coming from so many different species at once. Some aliens chittered like insects. Others made sounds like breaking glass. A few just made low humming noises that somehow felt mocking. Zixthala held up one crystal hand, and the chamber fell silent. "Ambassador Vasquez," he said. And the way he said her name made it sound dirty. "You do not understand how things work here." "How?" A holographic display appeared in the air above Elena's head. It showed a pyramid with different colored levels. At the top, in bright gold, were worlds marked Class 1. These were perfect garden planets with gentle weather and no dangerous animals. "The galaxy works on a simple system," Zixthala explained. "The most civilized species come from the most civilized worlds. Class 1 worlds produce leaders, scientists, artists. They guide the galaxy toward peace and prosperity." The display showed the next level down. Class 2 worlds were shown in silver. These worlds produce excellent administrators and skilled workers. Elena watched as the pyramid went down through Class 3, Class 4, and Class 5 worlds. Each level had fewer privileges and less respect than the one above it. "And then," Zixthala said, his voice full of disgust, "we have the Deathworlders." The bottom of the pyramid was shown in ugly brown. Only a few worlds were marked there, and now Earth was among them. "Deathworlders can do only simple jobs," Zixthala continued. "Mining in dangerous asteroid fields, fighting pirates in the Outer Rim, dying in places where civilized beings cannot go." Elena felt her hands clench into fists, but she kept them at her sides. "Your Excellence, I think you misunderstand what humans can do. We have made great advances in technology, medicine, art, from a death world?" The crystal alien's laughter was like breaking bottles. "Impossible. Deathworlders spend all their time just trying to survive. They cannot create anything of value." An alien that looked like a walking tree spoke up. "Perhaps they can serve as soldiers. Deathworlders are usually good at violence." "Yes," agreed a creature covered in scales. "Cannon fodder. That is what Deathworlders are best at." Elena's jaw tightened. She had been a soldier once, but she had also been a diplomat for 15 years. She knew how to control her anger, but these aliens were making it very hard. "We request fair treatment," she said carefully. "Trade partnerships, access to your schools and universities, the chance to prove ourselves as equals." The chamber exploded in laughter again. This time it was even louder and more mocking than before. Equals? Zeekthala's crystal body pulsed with bright light. My dear primitive creature, you come from a world where the rain burns skin, where the very air tries to poison you, where giant beasts hunt thinking beings for food. You have spent your entire evolution fighting just to stay alive. How could you possibly be equal to species that have spent millions of years advancing science and art and philosophy? An alien with too many tentacles spoke up. The radiation levels on their world would kill most of us in hours. Note: the gravity is twice what most species can handle, added another. The weather patterns include storms that could destroy small spacecraft, said a third. Elena listened to them list all the things that made Earth dangerous. Things that every human dealt with every single day without thinking twice about it. Things that had made her people strong and clever and tough in ways these aliens could not imagine. Perhaps, Zeeksthala said finally, we can find some use for your species. There is an asteroid belt in the Kepler system that needs mining. Very dangerous work. High radiation, unstable asteroids, frequent solar flares, perfect for Deathworlders. Elena took a deep breath. And in exchange, you will receive basic food supplies and simple tools. Nothing more. Deathworlders cannot be trusted with advanced technology. Elena stood in silence for a long moment. Around her, aliens whispered among themselves, already forgetting she was there. They were discussing her people like livestock, debating how best to use humans for dangerous jobs that they did not want to do themselves. Finally, she spoke. I will take your proposal back to my government. Excellent, Zeeksthala said, waving one crystal hand dismissively. Return when you have an answer. Guards will show you to the Deathworlder quarters. As Elena was led from the chamber, she heard the aliens already moving on to other business. Something about a trade dispute between two Class II worlds. Important business for important species. Elena's quarters were in the lowest level of the station, near the waste recycling systems. The room was small, dark, and smelled bad. It was exactly what she had expected. She sat on the narrow bed and activated her secure communication device. It would take several hours for her message to reach Earth, but she needed to report what had happened here. As she composed her report, Elena thought about all the things these arrogant aliens did not know about humanity. They saw a dangerous world and assumed it had produced dangerous savages. They could not imagine that surviving on such a world might have made humans into something much more interesting than savages, something much more dangerous than they could possibly imagine. 3 months after Elena's meeting with the Galactic Council, the pattern was clear. Everywhere humans went in the galaxy, they faced the same treatment. They were seen as dangerous animals that might be useful for dirty work, but nothing more. Dr. James Chen stood in the laboratory on Research Station Gamma 7, staring at his computer screen in disbelief. For 10 years, he had studied how bacteria adapted to extreme environments. His work was brilliant and could help terraform new planets. But the publication that had just appeared in the Galactic Science Journal credited all his research to Dr. Veltar, a vegan scientist with blue skin and 4 arms. There must be some mistake, James said to his Altarian supervisor, Dr. Crixnall. The crystal alien barely looked up from his own work. No mistake, Deathworlder, Doctor. Veltar improved your crude observations and turned them into real science. Improved them? James pulled up both papers on his screen. These are my exact words. My exact data. My exact conclusions. He just translated them into Galactic Standard and put his name on them. Dr. Crixnall finally turned to look at James. His crystal face showed no emotion. Deathworlders cannot be credited with scientific discoveries. Everyone knows your species lacks the intellectual capacity for original research. Doctor, Veltar simply explained what you observed in terms that civilized beings can understand. James felt his hands shake with anger. I have 3 degrees in molecular biology. I graduated top of my class from Cambridge University. From a Deathworld university, Dr. Crixnall interrupted. Primitive education for a primitive species. You should be grateful that Dr. Veltar made your observations useful to real scientists. That same week, Captain Maria Santos watched her ship designs being stolen right in front of her. She had spent 5 years developing new hull configurations that could withstand extreme stress. Her ships were built to last, with backup systems for the backup systems. Human ships had to be tough because humans often flew them in dangerous places. The Centaurian engineers examined her blueprints with interest. These are very solid designs, Admiral Thexran admitted, but much too heavy and complicated. The redundant systems keep the ship flying even after major damage, Maria explained. In combat situations, Deathworlders think only about violence, the Admiral said with disgust. We will simplify these designs for civilized use. Remove all the unnecessary armor and backup systems. Make them lighter and more elegant. Make them lighter and more elegant, but without those systems, one good hit will disable the entire ship, Maria protested. Civilized species do not expect to be shot at, Admiral Thexran replied. We solve conflicts through negotiation, not barbaric violence like Deathworlders. 6 months later, Maria watched those same improved ships get destroyed in the first pirate attack they encountered. The sleek, elegant vessels broke apart after single hits that her original designs would have shrugged off. Dozens of aliens died because they had removed the unnecessary safety features. The Admiral sent a report claiming that the designs had been flawed from the beginning. He never mentioned that he had removed all the protection systems that would have saved those ships. At the Federation trade station orbiting Proxima Centauri, human merchants faced impossible fees and restrictions. Captain Lisa Wong tried to dock her cargo ship, but the station manager demanded payment of 50,000 Federation credits. 50,000? Lisa stared at the alien in shock. The standard docking fee is 500 credits. The station manager was a slug-like creature with too many eyes. Standard fee is for civilized species. Deathworlders pay hazard fees, contamination fees, security fees, and primitive species monitoring fees. My ship is completely clean and safe, Lisa protested. We carry food supplies from Earth, medical herbs and spices that could help dozens of species. Food from a death world? The manager's eyes widened in horror. Probably poisonous to civilized beings. We will have to test everything extensively. That requires additional fees for hazardous material handling. Lever though. Lever though. R5. Lisa paid the fees because she had no choice. But when she tried to sell her cargo, she discovered that all the prices had been set impossibly low. The rare spices that were worth a fortune on Earth sold for barely enough to cover fuel costs. The medical herbs that could treat diseases were dismissed as primitive folk remedies. Meanwhile, alien merchants, selling the same products at 1,000 times the price, filled their pockets with profits. They bought human goods cheap and sold them expensive to species that never knew humans had been the original producers. The worst humiliation came when human children tried to attend Federation schools. Sarah Kim was 12 years old and scored higher on the entrance exam than 90% of alien applicants. But when her mother brought her to register at the prestigious Academy of Galactic Sciences, the admissions officer just laughed. Deathworlder children cannot attend real schools, the officer explained. Their violent nature would disrupt the learning environment. We have special facilities for primitive species. They teach basic skills like following orders and operating simple machinery. Sarah's mother, Dr. Jennifer Kim, was a professor of astrophysics. My daughter speaks 6 languages and has already mastered calculus. She could easily handle your standard curriculum. Impossible, the officer replied. Deathworlders may have crude cleverness for survival, but they lack true intelligence. Your child would be much happier, learning appropriate skills for her species. Dr. Kim looked at the appropriate school they recommended. It was basically a training center for servants and manual laborers. The classes taught things like how to follow orders without question and basic maintenance tasks for civilized species. The breaking point came 8 months after Elena's first meeting with the Galactic Council. The Federation Command issued new orders for all human military units. They were being assigned to peacekeeping duties in the Kepler 442 system. Elena read the orders in her quarters aboard the human embassy ship. The system was supposedly overrun with pirates who used it as a base for raids across 3 sectors. Previous Federation attempts to clear them out had failed badly. The last task force had lost 60% of its ships, but this time, the Federation was sending humans to do the job. The orders made the situation very clear. Deathworlder forces are considered expendable for this operation. High casualties are expected and acceptable. This mission will demonstrate the proper use of primitive species in Federation military operations. Elena read that line 3 times, making sure she understood correctly. The Federation was sending humans to die fighting pirates, expecting most of them to be killed, and they thought this was perfectly acceptable because humans were just expendable Deathworlders. She activated her secure communication system and sent a priority message to Earth. The message was simple. They want us to die for them. They think we're too stupid and primitive to be worth anything except dying in their wars. The response came back 6 hours later, signed by Admiral Sarah Chen, head of Earth's military forces. It was even simpler than Elena's message. Let's show them exactly what Deathworlders can do. Elena smiled as she read those words. It was not a nice smile. The aliens had spent almost a year teaching humans exactly how much they were despised throughout the galaxy. Now it was time for humans to teach the aliens a few things in return. The Federation had no idea what they had just unleashed. Elena sat in the secure conference room aboard the human embassy ship, staring at the holographic faces of Earth's most important leaders. The quantum communication system made them look like ghosts, but their anger was very real. Admiral Sarah Chen appeared as a shimmering blue image. She was Dr. James Chen's older sister, and she had built Earth's space navy from almost nothing. Her face was cold and hard as steel. So they want us to die cleaning out pirates, she said quietly. That's correct, Elena replied. The Kepler 442 system, 3 pirate fleets using the asteroid belts, and radiation storms as cover. The last Federation task force lost 60% of their ships trying to clear them out. Defense Minister Kowalski's image flickered as the communication adjusted. He was an old man who had fought in the resource wars on Earth. How many ships are they giving us? None, Elena said. We use our own ships, our own people. They expect us to lose most of our fleet, and they think that's perfectly acceptable. Prime Minister Okafor spoke from her office in Lagos. They literally called us expendable in the orders? Elena nodded. Quote, Deathworlder forces are considered expendable for this operation. High casualties are expected and acceptable. Unquote. A70. Quote, Deathworlder forces are considered unquote. The silence that followed was heavy and dangerous. These 4 people controlled humanity's response to the galaxy, and Elena could see the same cold anger in all their faces. Admiral Chen spoke first. They have no idea what they just did. No, agreed Defense Minister Kowalski. They think we're stupid savages who will throw ourselves at the pirates like mindless animals. Prime Minister Okafor leaned forward. Elena, what's your assessment of the Federation's military capabilities? Elena had been studying alien warfare for months. They're not impressive. Their ships are beautiful but fragile. They avoid any real combat if possible. Their tactics are all based on overwhelming numbers and superior technology, never on actual fighting skill. Because they come from safe worlds, Admiral Chen said. They've never had to really fight for anything. Their ships break apart if you hit them hard enough, Elena continued. Captain Santos was right about the backup systems. They remove anything that adds weight, even if it keeps them alive. Defense Minister Kowalski smiled, and it was not a pleasant expression. So they're sending Deathworlders to do a job that requires actual fighting. How thoughtful of them. Admiral Chen pulled up tactical displays on her end of the communication. I've been reviewing our classified projects, the ones the Federation never bothered to ask about because they assumed we couldn't create anything worthwhile. Elena saw weapon systems, ship modifications, and training programs that the aliens had never heard of. Humanity had been preparing for galactic war without even knowing it. simply because everything they built had to work in the deadly environment around Earth. The Ragnar-class destroyers are ready, Admiral Chen continued. 47 ships built to fight in solar storms and asteroid fields. The Federation has never seen anything like them. What about the Berserker program? Defense Minister Kowalski asked. Admiral Chen's smile was sharp as a knife. Fully operational. We have 300 Marines trained for zero-atmosphere combat in hostile environments. They can fight in conditions that would kill most aliens before the battle even started. Prime Minister Okafor studied the data flowing across her screen. So we can actually win this fight. Win it? Admiral Chen laughed. But there was no humor in the sound. Madam Prime Minister, we can do much more than win it. We can win it in a way that makes the entire galaxy sit up and pay attention. Elena understood what the Admiral was suggesting. You want to make this a demonstration? Exactly, Admiral Chen replied. The Federation thinks they're sending us to die fighting pirates. Instead, we're going to show them what happens when you make Deathworlders angry. Defense Minister Kowalski was already pulling up personnel files. Dr. Chen's biological warfare research could be useful. His bacteria that eat ship hulls in high radiation environments. Captain Santos's ship modifications too, Elena added. Her armor, plating, and redundant systems. And the zero-point defense grid, Admiral Chen said quietly. Elena had heard rumors about the zero-point project, but she had never seen the details. Admiral Chen's authorization codes unlocked the files, and Elena's eyes widened as she read. You built that? She whispered. We built it because Earth's orbital defenses had to work in an environment full of radiation, asteroid impacts, and solar flares, Admiral Chen explained. The Federation assumes we have primitive weapons because we come from a primitive world. They have no idea what primitive weapons can do when they're built by people who fight nature itself every day. Prime Minister Okafor was quiet for several minutes, reading through the military assessments. Finally, she looked up. What are you proposing, Admiral? Complete mission success with 0 casualties, Admiral Chen said. We go to Kepler 442, we eliminate the pirates. And we do it so efficiently that every alien in the galaxy has to recalculate what they think they know about humans. The Federation will have observers, Elena warned. They'll want to document our failure for their military records. Perfect, Admiral Chen replied. Let them watch. Let them record everything. When we're done, I want every species in the galaxy to understand exactly what Deathworlders are capable of. Defense Minister Kowalski was already issuing orders to his staff. I'll coordinate with our intelligence services. Every human ship captain, every colony administrator, every research station needs to know about demonstration protocol. What's demonstration protocol? Elena asked. The standing orders that every human commander has been carrying since we joined the Federation, Admiral Chen explained. If aliens ever push us too far, if they ever treat us like expendable animals, we stop pretending to be civilized. Elena felt a chill run down her spine. Stop pretending? Elena, Prime Minister Okafor said gently. What do you think we've been doing for the past year? We've been polite. We've been diplomatic. We've followed their rules and accepted their insults because we hoped we could find a peaceful way to coexist. But they don't want coexistence, Admiral Chen added. They want servants. They want expendable soldiers to die in their wars. They want us to know our place at the bottom of their hierarchy. So now we show them our place, Defense Minister Kowalski said. Right at the top of the food chain, Elena thought about all the humiliations she had witnessed over the past months. Dr. Chen's research being stolen. Captain Santos's ships being improved into death traps. Human children being denied education. Human merchants being cheated and robbed. When do we start? She asked. The orders go out tonight, Admiral Chen replied. Every human in the galaxy gets the same message. Demonstration protocol is now active. We complete the mission in Kepler 442. And we do it our way. No alien observers on our ships, Defense Minister Kowalski added. No Federation oversight. No following their tactical doctrine. Just humans, Admiral Chen said. Doing what humans do best. Elena thought about that phrase. What humans did best. The aliens thought it was dying in impossible situations. They were about to learn that humans did something else much better than dying. They were about to learn that humans were very, very good at making other things die instead. The meeting ended with quantum encryption codes being distributed to every human commander in the galaxy. Within hours, the message would reach every human ship, station, and colony. The time for patience was over. Elena sat alone in the conference room after the others had signed off. In a few days, she would watch the Federation's arrogant assumptions about humanity die in the fires of Kepler 442. She was looking forward to it. The Kepler 442 system was exactly as dangerous as the Federation had described. Solar flares erupted from the unstable star every few hours, sending deadly radiation across the entire system. Massive asteroids drifted through space, some as large as moons. The three pirate fleets had been using this hellish environment as their base for over 2 years, knowing that no civilized species would follow them into such a hostile place. The Federation observation ships stayed far outside the system, equipped with long-range sensors to record the expected human disaster. Commander Veltara, a Centaurian with blue skin and silver eyes, watched the human fleet approach on his main screen. Only 47 ships, his tactical officer reported. Our doctrine requires at least 200 ships to assault a fortified position like this. Deathworlders, Commander Veltara said with disgust. They probably don't understand basic military strategy. This will be over quickly. The human fleet was led by Captain Maria Santos in her flagship, the HSS Indomitable. The ship looked wrong to alien eyes. Where Federation vessels were sleek and elegant, the Indomitable was thick and angular, covered in armor plating that seemed excessive. Every surface had backup sensors, redundant weapons, and emergency systems. Typical Deathworlder design. The tactical officer sneered. They build everything like a fortress because they expect to be attacked constantly. What the aliens didn't know was that the Indomitable had been designed to fight in Earth's orbital space, where solar radiation, meteor impacts, and electromagnetic storms were daily hazards. The ship didn't just look like a fortress. It was a fortress that could move at faster than light speeds. The first sign that something was wrong came when the human fleet entered the system. A massive solar flare erupted from the star, sending waves of radiation that should have forced any sane commander to retreat. The Federation sensors recorded radiation levels that would kill most alien crews within minutes. The human ships didn't retreat. They didn't even slow down. Are they insane? Commander Veltara whispered. That radiation will fry their electronics and kill everyone aboard. But the human ships kept moving, their crews somehow still alive and functional. The Federation observers didn't know that every human ship was shielded against radiation that was 10 times worse than anything in Kepler 442. Earth's magnetosphere had holes in it, and humans had been dealing with deadly solar radiation since they first entered space. The pirate fleets detected the approaching humans and moved to attack positions within the asteroid field. 3 separate groups of ships, over 200 vessels total, arranged themselves among the drifting rocks. They had beaten every Federation task force that tried to root them out by using the asteroids as cover and forcing attackers to navigate through the dangerous debris. Captain Santos studied the tactical display on her bridge. The pirate positions looked exactly like the asteroid mining operations that humans dealt with every day around Earth. Dangerous, chaotic, requiring split-second timing and nerves of steel. Standard Earth space deployment, she ordered. Use the rocks as cover, not obstacles. The human fleet split into small groups and dove into the asteroid field. Federation doctrine said this was suicide. The massive rocks were moving unpredictably, some spinning end over end, others tumbling through complex rotations. One mistake would smash a ship into pieces. But human pilots had been flying through Earth's orbital debris since the 21st century. The asteroid field around Earth was even worse than Kepler 442, full of old satellites, space junk, and mining equipment, moving at thousands of kilometers per hour. These pilots could thread a needle while traveling at relativistic speeds. The pirates opened fire as the human ships approached, expecting to pick them off as they struggled to navigate the asteroids. Instead, they watched in amazement as human vessels slipped between rocks with impossible precision, using the asteroids as shields while closing in for attack. Commander Veltara stared at his sensor readings. How are they doing that? Unknown, sir, his tactical officer replied. Our computers calculate a 97% probability of collision for those maneuvers. Then their computers must be better than ours. No, sir. We're detecting minimal computer assistance. They appear to be flying manually. Commander Veltara felt a chill run through his blue-skinned body. Manually? Through that asteroid field? At those speeds? The first pirate group was completely destroyed within 20 minutes. Human ships emerged from behind asteroids like predators, fired precisely targeted shots, and disappeared again before the pirates could return fire. The Deathworld vessels moved through the dangerous environment as if it were their natural habitat. Because it was. The second pirate fleet tried to retreat deeper into the asteroid field, where the rocks were larger and the gravitational effects more chaotic. This was the most dangerous part of the system, where even the pirates rarely went except in extreme emergencies. The human ships followed them without hesitation. What are they made of? Commander Veltara wondered aloud as he watched human vessels survive impacts that should have destroyed them. A pirate shot hit the Indomitable directly, punching through what should have been fatal damage. The ship kept fighting. The hull plating is much thicker than standard designs, his tactical officer reported. They have backup systems for their backup systems, and their crew compartments are heavily shielded. Why would they build ships like that? Because they come from a world that tries to kill them every day, the tactical officer said quietly. They build everything to survive the impossible. The third pirate fleet tried a different strategy. They abandoned the asteroid field and moved toward the star, hoping the increased radiation would force the humans to retreat. The solar flare activity was increasing, and radiation levels near the star were becoming lethal even by Deathworld standards. The human ships followed them anyway. Commander Veltara watched his radiation sensors climb into ranges that should have killed every living thing within 1,000 kilometers. No one can survive in that environment. No one. But somehow, the human crews were not only surviving, they were still fighting effectively. Their ships moved through the radioactive hell around the star, as if it were a minor inconvenience. The pirates, desperate now, tried to use the solar flares themselves as weapons, timing their attacks to coincide with radiation bursts. It didn't work. The humans had been fighting in solar radiation storms since before they discovered faster-than-light travel. Their marines boarded pirate ships in the middle of radiation bursts that would have killed most aliens instantly, fighting hand-to-hand combat in conditions that Federation military doctrine said were impossible to survive. The battle was over in 8 hours. Every pirate ship was either destroyed or captured. The human fleet had accomplished in less than a day what 3 Federation task forces had failed to do over 2 years, and they had done it without losing a single ship. Commander Veltara stared at the tactical display showing the aftermath of the battle. The entire Kepler 442 system was now under human control. Ships that should have been destroyed were still operational. Crew members who should have been dead were requesting their next assignment. "Get me a direct channel to the human flagship," he ordered. Captain Santos appeared on the main screen, sitting calmly in her command chair. There was no sign that she had just fought through conditions that should have killed her 10 times over. "Commander Veltara," she said politely, "did you get good recordings of our mission?" "Captain Santos," the alien replied, his voice shaking slightly. "How did your people survive those radiation levels?" Santos smiled. It was not a particularly nice smile. "Commander, we come from a death world. This was just Tuesday for us." The communication ended, leaving Commander Veltara staring at a blank screen. Behind him, his tactical officer was running calculations on human capabilities, and the numbers were terrifying. "Sir," the tactical officer said quietly, "if these readings are accurate, humans could fight effectively in environments that would kill our entire fleet." Commander Veltara thought about the 47 human ships that had just accomplished the impossible. Then he thought about the hundreds of human colonies spread across the galaxy, all filled with Deathworlders who had been underestimated and dismissed as primitive savages. He began composing an urgent message to Federation Command. The galaxy had seriously miscalculated what Deathworlders were capable of, and someone needed to warn them before humans decided to demonstrate their abilities on a larger scale. The footage spread through the Federation networks faster than anyone expected. Within days, every species in the galaxy had seen the recordings from Kepler 442. The videos showed human ships moving through environments that should have been instantly lethal, fighting in conditions that Federation doctrine said were impossible to survive. High Chancellor Zix Thala sat in his private office, watching the battle recordings for the 10th time. Each viewing made the reality more disturbing. The humans had not just survived the mission, they had dominated it completely, turning what should have been a suicide mission into a perfect military victory. His communication system chimed. "Your Excellence," his aide announced. "The emergency council meeting is ready to begin." Zix Thala made his way to the council chamber with heavy steps. The same room that had echoed with laughter at human limitations just months ago was now filled with nervous whispers. When he entered, the chamber fell completely silent. Every member of the Galactic Council was present, even those who rarely attended meetings. Representatives from 200 species filled the floating platforms, all of them studying data tablets and tactical reports with growing alarm. "Fellow beings," Zix Thala began, his crystal body dimmed with embarrassment. "We are here to discuss recent developments regarding the species known as humans." Admiral Thexran, the Centaurian who had improved Captain Santos's ship designs, spoke first. "The recordings must be faked. No species could survive those radiation levels. The recordings have been verified by 17 independent analysis teams," replied Dr. Crixnal, the Altarian scientist who had dismissed Dr. Chen's research. "The radiation levels were real. The asteroid field navigation was real. The human performance was real." A vegan representative stood up on one of the higher platforms. "Perhaps we made some errors in our initial assessment of human capabilities." "Errors?" The tree-like alien from the first council meeting rustled its leaves angrily. "We told them they could only mine asteroids and fight pirates. Then they went and proved they are better at fighting pirates than our entire military." Zix Thala pulled up tactical analyses on the main display. "Our military experts have studied the human performance in detail. Their conclusions are disturbing." The display showed comparison charts between human ships and Federation vessels. Human designs were heavier, more armored, and packed with redundant systems that Federation engineers had considered wasteful. But in actual combat, those wasteful features had kept the ships fighting under conditions that would have destroyed any civilized vessel. "Their Marines fought boarding actions in vacuum," Admiral Thexran said quietly. "Zero atmosphere. Lethal radiation. And they still won every engagement. Because they come from a world where those conditions are normal," Dr. Crixnal added. "We assumed that surviving on a death world meant they were primitive. Instead, it means they are adapted to environments we can barely imagine." The chamber erupted in worried conversations as representatives realized what this meant. For over a year, they had been treating humans like dangerous animals that could barely understand civilization. Now they discovered that humans were dangerous in ways the Federation had never encountered before. "What about their technology?" asked a slug-like alien from one of the lower platforms. "We assumed Deathworlders couldn't develop advanced science." Dr. Crixnal activated another display, showing detailed scans of human equipment. "Their weapons are more powerful than ours. Their shields are stronger, their computers are faster, and their ships are built to standards we didn't know were possible." "But how?" demanded Admiral Thexran. "How did we miss all of this?" "Because we never asked," Zix Thala admitted. "We saw a dangerous world and assumed it produced dangerous savages. We never considered that surviving on such a world might require extremely advanced technology and incredible skill." The communication system announced an incoming priority message. "The human ambassador requests permission to address the council." Zix Thala felt his crystal body pulse with nervous energy. "Send her in." Elena Vasquez entered the chamber wearing the same uniform she had worn months ago, but everything else had changed. She no longer looked small and alone among the alien representatives. Now she looked like exactly what she was, the representative of the most dangerous species the galaxy had ever encountered. "Honorable members of the Galactic Council," Elena began, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber. I believe you wanted to discuss recent developments. Zixthala cleared his throat with a sound like wind chimes in a storm. Ambassador Vasquez, we may have made some miscalculations regarding your species' capabilities. Elena smiled. It was the same smile Captain Santos had worn after the battle, and it made every alien in the chamber very uncomfortable. Oh, you calculated perfectly. We are Deathworlders. We do come from the most dangerous planet you've ever classified. We are adapted to survive in environments that would kill most of you. Yes, but Zixthala began. The mistake, Elena continued, was thinking that made us inferior instead of superior. She activated a holographic display showing human colonies across the galaxy. For the past year, humans have been mining asteroids in radiation fields that would kill your crews. We've been fighting pirates in systems too dangerous for your ships to enter. We've been doing all the jobs you considered too risky for civilized species. And you did them better than we expected, Admiral Thexran admitted. We did them better than you could, Elena corrected. Every suicide mission you gave us, we completed with minimal casualties. Every dangerous job you assigned us, we finished ahead of schedule. You thought it was luck or desperation. Actually, it was professional competence. Dr. Crixnow leaned forward on his platform. Ambassador, we're prepared to revise our assessment of human technological capabilities. Elena pulled out a data tablet. These are our terms for continued cooperation with the Federation. The terms appeared on displays throughout the chamber. The alien representatives read in stunned silence. Humans wanted full membership in the Federation, access to all scientific databases, trade partnerships as equals, and educational exchanges. These terms seem reasonable, Zixthala said carefully. Very reasonable, Elena agreed. Much more reasonable than you deserve, considering how you've treated us. About that, Admiral Thexran said uncomfortably. Perhaps we could discuss reparations for any misunderstandings. No need, Elena replied. Just implement these terms, and we'll consider the matter settled. A vegan representative spoke up. What if we refuse? Elena's smile grew wider. Then you'll discover what Deathworlders do when diplomacy fails. The chamber fell silent as every alien imagined human fleets using their newfound respect throughout the galaxy. The species that had just destroyed 3 pirate fleets without losing a single ship would not be easy to oppose in open warfare. The terms are acceptable, Zixthala announced quickly. We welcome humanity as full members of the Galactic Federation. Over the following weeks, everything changed. Dr. Chen's research was republished under his own name and became required reading in universities across the galaxy. Captain Santos received urgent requests for her ship designs from every major shipyard. Human children were not just accepted into Federation schools, they were recruited aggressively. The Federation's hierarchy remained, but humanity occupied a new category that everyone understood, but no one wanted to say out loud. The species you really didn't want to make angry. 3 months later, Elena stood in the same council chamber where she had first been dismissed as a primitive savage. Now, alien representatives stood when she entered, and her opinions carried weight in every major decision. The irony was not lost on her. The Federation had spent a year teaching humans that they were considered inferior and expendable. In response, humans had taught the Federation what expendable actually looked like when applied to pirate fleets and military obstacles. As Elena took her place among the council members as an equal, she reflected on the lesson both species had learned. Never underestimate someone just because they come from a dangerous place. Sometimes, dangerous places produce the most dangerous people. And in a galaxy full of new threats emerging from unexplored space, having friends who considered impossible odds to be slightly interesting was suddenly very valuable indeed. The Federation had gained powerful allies. They just wished they had figured that out before making those allies angry.